the Moi Boys Dynasty Podcast, the greatest podcast that you didn't want or ask for. And now introducing your hosts, Jake the Gluten-Free Harris and Peter Cheater Pigoo Hot Sizzle O'Donnell.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, men who act like children of all ages? The Missouri Aquarium proudly presents the greatest podcast that you did not want or ask for. I am your host, Jake, the Gluten-Free Harris, and I've already wasted 48 seconds of your life. Thanks for tuning in. Brett, we're going to talk about yo team today, buddy. So, my friend, we're going to do this quick and dirty. Well, Brett, you got eliminated from the playoffs. It sucks, but there is a blessing in disguise. You got eliminated at the best possible time, which is early, meaning you have the most potential buyers for the wares that you have. Let's talk about what to do with your squad. I'm going to show you what I am looking at here. Bada boom. All right, Brett's team. First off, Tom Brady needs to get traded. I think if you were to say, like, all right, I'm going to hold Tom Brady in the hope that he unretires again next year. Say he does. What would you be able to get for him next year if this scenario plays out again? Like a fourth? A third? Literally get whatever you can for Tom Brady. If you can get a second-round draft pick or any player that's injured and won't, if you can talk to Eddie and say, I'll give you Tom Brady for Darnell Mooney. If he's silly enough to take that deal, you jump on it, brother. You jump on it. You literally take anything that you can get of value for Brady, even if it's a 2025 fourth. If that's all that they're going to offer you, then you take it. I would hit up Eddie for, he's got like a fourth, a third, and a fourth. See if you can get those three picks. I would hit up, let's take a look at who's left. I think Tom is pretty set. Tom actually could use a little bit of help at quarterback. I'd hit up Tom, and because I think he's got like Tua and Geno, and that's it. I'd hit up Tom, trade him Tom Brady for a second. Trade Tom Brady for his own second-round pick. See if he bites on that. If not, try Tom Brady for 2024 second. If he doesn't like that, and he says, I'm not giving up a second no matter what year. Okay, so then say, okay, fine, a third. 2025 third. He would definitely do that. He'd be stupid not to, considering his quarterback situation, how thin, incredibly thin he is. He's got Tua, Geno, and Lamar is still injured and probably not going to play next week. So that's where I would be going with that trade there. Getting back to your team. Got to get rid of Brady. Honestly, Dalvin Cook, in my opinion, has not looked awesome. We've seen his yards per carry dip in the last 3 years. There is an age cliff for running backs. That age cliff is coming up. I feel like Dalvin Cook is the kind of guy who could help you win next year, but he may not help you win 2 years from now. And I'd be looking to get a first-round pick for Dalvin Cook, and what you're doing with that pick is you're essentially re-rolling. You're rolling the dice for sure, because you could end up with a Clyde Edwards-Helaire or a Sky Moore. But you're taking that Dalvin Cook and you're putting it into a meat grinder, and you're hoping to basically re-roll Dalvin Cook into a younger version of Dalvin Cook. The 2024 draft class is strong. I know Ray would probably pay a first round, one of his 2024 firsts for Dalvin Cook. But you're probably only going to get one first round pick for Dalvin. Sorry, I forgot that I wasn't on your team there. If you're thinking about trading McCaffrey, I wouldn't do it for less than 2 firsts. That said, I don't know if you're going to get 2 firsts for Christian McCaffrey. I think Christian is one of those players that at the moment, if they're not going to offer you 2 firsts, you don't move him, because he's going to be pretty much exactly this good next year. He is currently the running back 1 in PPR scoring. I think he's only going to be 27 next year. That's Dalvin Cook's current age. And then I think when he hits 27, 28, you look to bail on CMC and get good value, at least a first round pick for him, and try and turn him into another young player. But Christian McCaffrey might be one of those players, kind of like Derrick Henry is, where he's always going to be more valuable to the player who wants points than he is going to be on the trade market. So Christian McCaffrey might just be a player who dies on your roster. But if you could get 2 firsts for him, I would consider it. If you could take and get raised 2 first-round picks for Christian McCaffrey. But I also think he could help you win next year as well. Since you don't have any draft capital, you're kind of faced with you're looking to reload. So if you could take a Dalvin Cook and turn him into who's got guys left and picks? Jim is not going to be easy to deal with. Uh-oh, is my girl waking up? My girl might be waking up here, Brett. Yeah, we're going to have to wrap this up quick. But basically, you're going to try and take guys like Dalvin Cook, and you're going to try and turn them into something because you're not going to... Dalvin Cook's he's not worth as much as Olave is in the trade market. He might be worth about as much as Devonta Smith, but I don't think Jim's going to let go of Devonta Smith. You could turn him into an Aaron Jones and a second-round pick would be a kind of move that I'd be looking to do. I'd like to get younger than Aaron Jones, but if I can't, then I'm okay then taking Dalvin Cook and splitting him into slightly less valuable Dalvin Cook plus a second-round pick. And you're going to be taking your good assets and you're going to be trying to divide them into multiple assets. That's the way that you reload a dynasty football team. You don't just take a Dalvin Cook and trade him 1-for-1 because you could have just kept Dalvin Cook. You're trying to get Aaron Jones, who's going to produce let's take a look just real quick. I've never compared the two, but Dalvin Cook has put up 220 fantasy points this year. And then if we look at Jim's Aaron Jones has put up 202 fantasy points this year. That's extremely comparable. You're not actually missing out on a ton if you traded Aaron Jones for Dalvin Cook and then you got a second. That is a winning trade for you. You've absolutely ripped Jim off. I know Jim doesn't watch, so I'm not worried about him being wise to this, but that's the kind of move that you need to be making since you're trying to reload your team because, frankly, your team is super shallow. You've got an incredible starting roster, and your bench, though, you just lost Kyler Murray next year. Frankly, you're in trouble, in my opinion, for next year's season because I don't think Gabe Davis is that dude. I have a hard time seeing him cracking 1,000 yards. And I also have a hard time seeing them, if they draft a receiver, they're drafting them because they got a good hard look at Gabe Davis and they didn't like what they saw. So I think Gabe Davis is a third string wide receiver at best for his career. I think you need to get off of Gabe Davis immediately. I think Gabe Davis is an immediate sell this year. Do not wait on him. Do not try and let him develop. He's the kind of guy who gets production because the guys that were in front of him in these first 2 years, we put up 599 and 549. Those guys are gone. So then he just kind of, the guys that inherit a role like an Alan Lazard, who inherits by default the number 1 or number 2 role on an offense. I'd be looking to sell Gabe Davis immediately. I'm holding Marquise Brown. Devontae Adams, I think, could be a hold for if you wanted to compete again next year. You could hold Devontae Adams. That said, I'm trying to take Devontae Adams and pare him down into because Devontae Adams is number 4 on the season. He's put up 278 fantasy points. That's a lot. So I would be talking to someone like Ray, and I'd be trying to get Devontae Adams for a DJ Moore in a first, someone who's not great, and a first round pick. So young, doesn't have to be good, but young and startable, essentially. Donovan Peoples-Jones, I like him, but I don't see him I kind of see him the way I see Gabe Davis. I have a hard time believing that he's a true number 2 in the NFL. like a Christian Kirk and a first, a Juju Smith-Schuster and a first, something usable and a first would be what I would want for Davante Adams. Without, if you're not getting a first for him, I'm not super interested unless you're getting a very good, like a T. Higgins and a second type of thing. But I don't foresee any managers doing, like, giving up a good young, a very usable young asset plus a pick for Davante Adams. So you can either kind of go for a 1-for-1 route, which I'm not a huge fan of, especially if you're trying to contend next year. I would love to see a 2-for-1 route with Davante Adams. One of those players plus a first would probably get it done, if the manager is motivated to win. If you can't get someone who's motivated to win this week, I would hope, basically just pray that Eddie doesn't win next week because he doesn't have any picks to sell you. And I would be trying to trade to one of the two managers who's pushing their chips in to win in the final week. That's either going to be Tom, and Tom has got no first-round picks till 2025, but he's got 3 first-round picks, including the 201 here in 2023, or Jim. Jim's playing Eddie, and Jim's got all of his own picks because I don't think Jim's done any trades except for like one. And then Ray, who's got a pair of 2024 firsts and a pair of 2024 seconds. So that would be what I would consider doing. Now, Ray is holding on to these extremely tightly. I've already talked to him about trying to get them off of him, and he is really not interested in selling. So your best bet might be Tom. That said, it's really tough. I really expected the market in this league to pick up now that it's playoff time because I assumed people would want to win. But the trigger happy people have already sold. You, Eddie, and Jay and Jordo, you guys have all already sold. And Jim doesn't buy. Ray doesn't like to overpay. Tom's got a good enough team that he feels like he doesn't have to overpay. Plus, he's already spent most of his money. And Eddie's already got no cash left as well. I mean, there's really not a lot of good trading partners left in the playoffs. So if you're going to make these deals, you have to be aggressive and you have to be willing to take a fair market price and not necessarily be able to bend someone over backwards. You might be able to do that in the finals, but maybe not. Then the kinds of guys you're going to be targeting are going to be, so if we go to, in the finals, if you go to Tom's team, Iceman, you're going to be looking to target guys who are out. He doesn't have many valuable pieces on the IR, and that's kind of the problem with Tom. So it's really just his draft capital that are his sellable assets. Darren Waller, like whatever tight end he's not starting, Njoku or Darren Waller, you might be able to get one of them. Everyone else he pretty much needs. So not a lot there. Eddie, on the other hand, has got a couple valuable guys on the IR. He's got he has one valuable guy. He's got Darnell Mooney. And it looks like that's pretty much it. He's got a few guys he's not starting, like Hopkins, Scantling, but I wouldn't be looking to buy those guys as they're aging out as well. You might be able to get a quarterback off of him, which would help your team quite a bit because I believe you're a little thin at QB with the loss of Murray and the likely retirement of Brady. Leaves you with basically just the Jones Bros. So I would try and get a quarterback off of Tom. Or she put herself back to sleep. What a good girl. I'd be looking to get a quarterback off of Tom or Eddie. And I know Jordan's got an abundance of quarterbacks as well. All right. Let's hustle down the rest of your roster. I think we've been talking for a bit. Yeah, 15 minutes. Kittle is probably a hold. I feel like the dynasty community's really, really cooled off on Kittle. But I actually still like him as a guy who can win you a week from the tight end position. That is still rare. I think you'd have a hard time finding someone who would be willing to pay a first for George Kittle right now. That said, I still like him, and I'd be holding on to him. Because I think even if you're just, because I don't think you're in a full rebuild yet. I think you're in a reload where you're trying to tear down your oldest assets, guys who are about to retire, Brady, guys who are about to hit an age cliff, Dalvin Cook, Devontae Adams. I'm really not looking to hold receivers into their 31st year. Their production always goes down, and the big thing though is not that their production is going down, it's that your window to sell vanishes. When Devontae Adams is 31 years old, so if you hold him through next season, you're basically trying to sell a 31-year-old Devontae Adams to somebody because they're not going to be able to use him until his 31st year. You would be lucky to get a second-round pick. And second-round picks are, if we just go ahead and look at the draft results here, Dotson was a hit for an early second. I don't know if you get that for him. Pickens looks like a hit, but really hasn't actually done much as far as usable production. Mechie got leukemia. Alec Pierce has been all over the place. Desmond Ridder, he got his first start and put up 7 points, 97 yards, 50% completion rate. Not good. Malik Willis barely saw the field. Jared Cook's been awful. Rachaad White's been great. Dameon Pierce has been great. And Sam Howell, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking drafting Sam Howell there. And then it was like miss. Could be a hit, but likely a miss. He's likely just one of those guys that has a couple of okay weeks here and there, but never really does anything. Miss. Probably a hit. Miss. Could be a hit at some point. Miss. As of right now. Miss. Huge hit. So like in the last, from the second round, there were like 7 hits total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then, yeah. So, like, now, granted, the 2022 class was not one of the more elite classes. It was one of the worst classes as far as offensive rookie talent goes. And there's going to be, deeper classes coming this year and next. So, those second-round picks are good. Because you saw like Dameon Pierce is a very valuable asset, and he was there. Rachaad White's a very valuable asset. He was there. Pickens, Jahan Dotson were both in the second round. So there's valuable players to be had in the second round. It's just that your odds of getting a hit are significantly lower than they are in the first. So back to your squad here. I'm probably just riding with Samuel. I feel like his production drastically outweighs his dynasty value. Dobbins, same thing. I feel like he's shown me enough. You could say so. Jesus. He's shown me enough that he's good to go for next year. Chark, I feel like your window to sell was after week 14. If he has a big blow up week in week 16, I'm trying to sell him because him and Jameson Williams both play the same role, but the team investment is significantly higher in Jameson Williams. They traded up to get him. They took him in the first round. They like him a lot. He's going to be the guy they go to over DJ Chark. Kyler, you're probably stuck with him because I doubt you're going to trade him away for a singular first, and I doubt someone's going to give you multiple firsts with a tiny little running quarterback with a torn ACL. Honestly, it's just a horrible, horrible break for you as both a fan of the Cardinals and a manager of Kyler Murray. If you can get 2 firsts for him, you should really consider taking it. There's no guarantee that Kyler comes back. He probably won't play most of next season, so you're looking at a 27-year-old Kyler Murray who hasn't played anything but Call of Duty for a year and a half because he just started his professional Call of Duty career last week, and bro. I don't trust Kyler to put the work in that is required to come back from an ACL stronger than you were before. Like that Adrian Peterson type of work ethic where you come back and have the best season of your career. I think he'll run less, the way that Joe Burrow ran less, the way that just every quarterback who's had a knee issue, Robert Griffin III, Vince Young, everyone who's had a bad injury, all those rushing quarterbacks just generally run less when they come back. So before some dummy realizes that, I'd be looking to get rid of Kyler. Excuse me. If you can get rid of Jeff Wilson if he plays again, I would. I anticipate the Dolphins to be one of the top teams looking to get a running back in the draft. They lost a first-round pick, which sucks for them because they could have definitely taken a running back in the first round and they would be good next year. But they'll probably definitely take a running back second or third round next year. So I doubt Jeff Wilson will be the starter. So if you can get something for him when he gets healthy, take it. Chase Edmonds, you're probably stuck with him. Mitchell, you're probably stuck with. But I like having Mitchell since you have McCaffrey. That way, if McCaffrey goes down, you've still got a good option, even if it's not elite. Robert Woods. If you could literally get a pile of dog shit for Robert Woods, you take that. Because he's not someone you can put into your starting lineup ever again. Frankly. No one else is of any consequence down here. Basically, all these players from here on down, if you could get a fourth-round pick, except for Darius Slayton and probably Van Jefferson, if you can get a fourth-round pick for any of these other guys, I think you take it. Allen Robinson, obviously, is an exception as well, but I would love to get rid of Allen Robinson if I were you. I really anticipated this year would be better than it was, but it was pretty fucking bad. Pretty fucking bad. Braid's nothing, Thomas is nothing, Disley's nothing. If you can get a fourth for any of those, you do it. Just start shopping your bench scrubs. Try and start, basically, you're trying to turn those bench scrubs, desperately trying to turn them into fourth-round picks because Brian Robinson's a fourth-round pick. Romeo Dobbs is a fourth-round pick. Isaiah Pacheco is a fourth-round pick. Fourth-round picks can do things, but you generally want those fourth-round picks to be rookies. You want them to be tight ends, or you want them to be, because like Greg Dulcich was undrafted. He was available in that fourth round, but no one took him. You want them to be tight ends, or you want them to be running backs. And very, very, very rarely do you want them to be receivers, because of the receivers drafted after the 202, Mechie, miss. Alec Pierce, likely not going to be a top 36 wide receiver for his career. Jalen Tolbert, miss. We're 0 for 3. David Bell, 0 for 4. Wan'Dale Robinson, probably same like Alec Pierce. Probably a guy who's usable in a pinch, but not someone you're like thrilled to he's just a dude. So we're just going to call that 0 for 5. Khalil Shakir, 0 for 6. Calvin Austin, 0 for 7. Tyquan Thornton, 0 for 8. Velus Jones, 0 for 9. John Ross, 0 for 10. Romeo Dobbs, 1 for 10. And honestly, who's to say Dobbs has his role when he comes back healthy? Like, he might end up being, he went from the wide receiver 1, he might end up being the wide receiver 3 in this offense. Maybe even 4 behind Randall Cobb. Christian Watson has broken out. They have the higher team capital in Christian Watson. Anyways, you don't have Romeo Dobbs. What are you listening to me talk about Romeo Dobbs for? CEH, you're stuck with. Probably just going to have to die on your bench. I don't think anyone wants to touch him with a 9-foot pole. Tim Patrick, same. Eric Shepard, same. I feel like that really covers it. You're trying to take your guys who are heading towards the age cliff. You're trying to down tier, which means you get a guy of like a couple years younger and a pick, and who's less productive. So like turn Devontae Adams into who's like a 27-year-old receiver right now, like Devontae Adams into Chris Godwin. plus a second round pick would be the perfect type of trade. But Godwin is on Juan's team, and Juan just got eliminated by Ramon. If Ray does a smart thing and benches Christian Watson, because Watson goes out, fumbles, Ray loses. If Watson goes out, fumbles, gets concussion, yada yada. Anyways, Brett, that's all I got for you. 25 minutes, you got your money's worth. I was rambling because I'm tired. Love you, brother. And I will talk to you soon.
Beaver tranquilizer.
God damn you!
Brett? Bye.